Welcome back to It's a Graham Matt podcast. I'm Matt.
I'm Graham.
I'm Alan.
And boy, do we have
we should change the title of our show.
We probably it's getting to that point, isn't it?
Like GMA.
GMA podcast.
It's
like JRE, but we'll be GMA podcast.
GMA podcast.
I can't wait for the lawsuits to start rolling in.
Right.
Joe will be like, hey, so that sounds quite a bit like mine. Like, yeah, Joe, but we're not telling people not to get vaccinated.
I mean, that and we'd also be riding off the coattails of Katie Couric.
Yeah,
fun. We could do that. True. I mean, those are good coattails to hang off of. I guess.
That's true. Yep.
And what was the weatherman's name? I can't ever remember.
Al
Roker.
Al
Roker.
Yep. Yeah.
He's still alive, isn't he?
Yeah, he lost like a ton of weight. Like literally, looks like someone stole half of him.
It's like who's that?
That's why he's still alive.
Mm-hmm.
Who's that politician that did that too? It's like a reverend.
Chris Christie?
No. He's a black reverend.
Was it not Al Sharpton, right?
Al Sharpton.
Oh,
Al Sharpton used to be big too, and now he's all like, I can't do it because I'm not skinny. But you get the picture. You get the picture. It's fine.
I like that we're judging people who got healthy. Like now he's ugly.
Yeah, fucking skinny.
Yeah, man.
Get some meat on your bones like us. Oh god.
What we got today, Matt?
We got a fucking great show, guys. So our guest tonight is somebody we've all known for a long time. Alan's probably known him the longest, but I mean, safe to say we've known him for over 10 years.
Yep, 10 plus.
One of the best men in my wedding. I technically had like two best men. So he was one of my other best men. But we've gone through a lot of stuff in life. He's one of Alan and I's best friends in the world. We have Mr. RubberDucky of Death himself, Jake Schultz, with us today. Really excited for you guys to meet him. I'm going to get him back in here right now. So let's get him in here.
The anticipation.
It's coming. Come
on, Graham.
Hey!
Look at him.
Me.
He's
so yeah. So this is Jake. Like I said, Jake's. We've been friends with Jake for forever. We all went to school together up in Christian school up in northern Minnesota.
Yep.
Went to Jake's house in the cities and got drunk and almost got expelled from Christian school. A lot of good times. But Jake, tell the people about yourself, man.
Well, my name's Jake. Right now I'm just kind of in and out of finding work and stuff like that, and kind of trying to take advantage of being able to do some things like making YouTube videos and helping friends do some streaming. I don't know, just trying to take a stab at some creative stuff, doing some voiceover work and all that fun stuff. So I don't know, I'm a nerd. I love video games, love nerdy sci-fi stuff, Star Wars, those type of things. So I don't know, played Magic the Gathering with these idiots.
More than that.
You guys might recall me talking about
back flip.
If you think about the mental health episode, I had made a comment about flipping a table at Oak Hills playing Magic. That was thanks to this asshole down here. No, but yeah, Jake. I mean, I like that you're talking about the content creation you're doing. Jake's been instrumental with a lot of people that we know that are into the content creation, like whether like the voiceover stuff. Jake sent me some voiceovers even for my stream. I was like, is this him? I thought it was a totally different person. And
voiceovers.
Yep.
Yeah, he's been doing voiceovers and like just doing little sound
at it.
Yeah. And the YouTube videos. Jake has a vision for like finding the best parts to show our dumbassness and like making it presentable to a crowd more than anybody I've ever met.
Nice.
And it's fantastic. So, yeah, you know what's funny? I feel like you've always been kind of into that art stuff. I mean, because I remember back when we were younger and just a tish skinnier, you were always talking about doing like you were always talking about doing things like art festivals and such, and like getting heavily involved with like the local art scenes in like Minneapolis and stuff. Because you used to live in Minneapolis, right?
Yep. I want to say 2 or 3 years I was down there. I mean, it's not big picture. It's not too long, but no, I lived down there in Duluth. I actually lived all over Minnesota for some reason or another.
I mean,
that's all right.
And you have some pretty interesting stories, like especially when you live down in the cities at like Source and stuff, and then in Bemidji when my bike got stolen.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
So, Jake, what got you into like doing like all the content creation stuff? Like what really drove you to this part of what you're doing right now?
Well, I got fired from my job. That helped. I had a bunch of free time. That's a whole nother subject. But
no, we could do it. We could do it.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm willing to talk about it. I doubt anyone from over there would watch anything on YouTube. So
I like how he covered that at the end. Like he could have said nobody's gonna watch you, but then he said YouTube. So I feel better about it now.
Right?
Just added the two at the end.
I was talking and I'm like, I almost said just you. What's the other part? Two.
Oh.
Yeah. So
for sure.
No, honestly, I've always kind of wanted to do it, but it's just always been one of those things where, honestly, a big part of it was insecurity and just like not thinking I could do it to a capacity that I wanted to do it at, or even like do a good job, or that people might think it's stupid. I know it's kind of a dumb thing. Like, I don't know, I feel like dudes were supposed to be like, oh yeah, macho man, I got this down on shit, you know, like, and I guess for me, like, I'm not afraid to, I guess, admit like, yeah, I'm kind of insecure about this, you know. So getting fired was a perfect opportunity because I was super burnt out with social work. That's a long story. Was a social worker for about, I don't know, 5 years, I want to say. And I did some other things, but it was county social work. And if you know anything about that, it's pretty draining. There's like no creativity allowed in county social work. So, so I really, it was like, it's almost like I don't want to say rebound, but it was almost like I'm going to do the exact opposite of what I kind of did and want to do something fun and creative. And actually, Alan and I have been talking, I don't know, the last 2 years, maybe, would you say, Alan, about like trying to do video production and audio production stuff?
Yeah, it's been at least 2 years that you and I had been like formulating and like cooking this project together.
Yeah. So I was like, that would be a good experience to practice learning how to do video editing before I try charging people for it. Yeah. So, you know,
which is a perfect time to, you know, let the people know that this is in. Are we still going with the same name?
No, he's like, are we even doing it?
Are we still going with the same name? I just had to check.
I'm game, dude. If you're feeling a little hesitant about it,
I have a question.
Yeah,
I have an idea what it's called. Is it called the Four Nipples Production?
No,
dude. How did you guess that?
Yes.
I'm trying to remember how to pronounce it, but it's Other.
Yeah, Other. It's like Norse for like. Don't tell my Christian friends. It's Norse. It's Norse. It's like a divine inspiration, specifically within the Norse. Like,
yeah, the idea being that Odin would give the people inspiration, like divine inspiration directly from Odin, because in Norse mythology, like art was actually, like, a lot of people think that Norse mythology and Norse culture and Norse paganism is all about like blood and guts and, you know, pillaging the, you know, the poor countryside of England.
The movie stuff.
But
Mhm.
it's a lot more than that. Like Norse culture was actually like probably one of the most advanced like old ancient cultures, like, you know, with as far as like equality amongst the men and women,
That's what I was
um
gonna say.
equality amongst the amongst, you know, races of people. Like you anyone could be a Viking act literally, you know. So
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. So like the idea being that Odin would send down drops of inspiration to people, and that's kind of where we got that from, which is Other.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
We kind of get the best of both worlds. I mean, Jake does a lot with me and helps me out on the streaming side of things, like for my content creation there.
You
And then Alan's doing a lot. Like Alan puts this whole production together. Like Graham and I just show up and drink and talk
Yep.
shit. Oh, I mean,
Yeah.
I mainly do the shit talking, but I mean, like Alan's been instrumental in getting the video stuff together, and even like as we ponder making the switch over to something like Twitch for the live streaming and stuff for the podcast. Like, I'm very thankful to have people behind this whole operation that know how to do this. You know, I mean, because Graham and I, we were winging it when we did this before, and we made it sound damn good. But I mean,
Yeah.
we were surface level. You know, I toyed around with audio production at that point, but I mean, video production is a whole nother monster.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah,
it's
totally
super
is.
cool. Going back to the Norse mythology thing, though, well,
Yeah.
not even Norse mythology, Norse paganism. When I stopped being a Christian, I really flirted with the idea. Like, I thought it would be cool to like kind of practice Norse paganism, not like in a way where like I necessarily believe like Odin is real or anything, but like I just really like the rituals and stuff involved with
Yeah.
it. So,
Dude,
like,
like I've always said if I didn't identify as a Christian, I would definitely identify as a as a Norse pagan.
yeah, it's
This
just
is
cool,
like-
man.
Believe that?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of different forms of it now. Like there's the like legit people where people are like believing that Odin and Freya and Thor and Frigga and all the other gods are all real and stuff. And then there's the ones that just believe in it's more following the ideals, sort of like your Levian Satanism and then your like Satanism.
Yeah.
You know?
And like even those people still have like their shrines to Odin or like their
Mhm.
shrines to like their particular god, and they'll do different things for it. I don't know. I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos on it, mainly just because I think it's super interesting. Yeah, Norse paganism is super cool. I'm into it.
If you're like super into that, you need to watch they're called Halung. I don't know if you've seen any of their videos, but they're a Norse, like it's really weird. It's like I don't know how to describe it, but it's like world music, but they take the stories from Norse mythology and from like the Viking Book of Wisdom and all this stuff, and they like make this whole like production of music with it. It's like it's super cool. Like the instruments they use like bone instruments and like tan drums and like.
What about skin flutes?
Well, we leave that for Graham and I leave that for our one friend.
Oh, okay.
That's a different musical production for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. And it's terrifying.
You're not the master of the skin flute.
So this Othor, like how long have you guys been thinking of that name? Like, is that something that you guys have recently said, okay, now we're ready to start taking it to the next level? Or is that what you guys been toying around with for a while?
Well, I honestly I feel like last year, Alan, we were both just like, well, shit, you're fired and you have the time. So like, let's start doing this. So we actually did a video project for Park Rapids Chamber of Commerce, which we probably need to do more follow-up with them. But I don't know, the COVID stuff really kind of messed that up. But we were like, we better come up with a name pretty quick. And we're like spent a weekend just like brainstorming. We're like, dude, like,
Yeah,
Alan's really effing into Vikings. And we're just like doing some research, and that's kind of how it came out, to be honest. Like, it wasn't some like, epic story or I don't know.
it was. I believe you were the one who found that. Like we were like searching through. I was looking through like a bunch of like names from Norse mythology and like associated with tales and stuff. And then you're like, oh, dude, check this out. Read up on this. And I was like, dude, that's perfect. And that's
'Cause we're trying to think of like something that was Minnesotan, and you know, like Norwegian, Swedish, Finnish people. There's a lot of that. I mean, Finnish people aren't real Shubor.
Shubor,
You guys
confirm that.
Our friend that's Finnish admitted that it's not real. So that's an answer to that question for you guys. But
Yep.
there's a lot of that culture up here, you know, and we're like, okay, Minnesotan is like, I don't know. I don't want to do like a stupid like Timberwolf and Pine. They're not stupid, but you know what I'm talking about. You guys are
the standard.
Yeah. It was like, I think one of the suggestions by a friend of ours is that she was like, "Oh, you should call yourselves, what was it? Something like River's Edge or Pine or like Pine's Edge or something."
It doesn't
like that.
set you guys apart at all from other people.
No,
I mean, like here in Alexander,
two towns
that's
down.
supernatural.
You guys could have been two towns down productions.
Ooh.
Yeah. Like, I mean, like a name like that would be popular here in Alexander just because like everybody here is so obsessed.
We could have been real spicy.
Yeah, like real like Viking culture is massive here in Alexandria just because of like the runestone, which is totally fake, and like big.
You shut up.
Yeah, you watch your mouth, boy.
Listen, look, man. By all accounts, everybody says it's fake, but you're like, it's still real to me. You know, it's. I think it's fake, but all I know is like
it's
Viking,
hanging out with
like,
Bigfoot, dude. Come on.
Yeah, like we have Six Northmen Brewing company here, and that's like. Basically, I think the idea is like the people who did the runestone, like there's 6 Northmen who came to Minnesota with the runestone. I think is the story behind the brewery.
Oh yeah.
But like they took all this like reclaimed wood from like this old church, and they built a traditional.
In it.
Yeah, they built the brewery is built in a traditional Viking longhouse.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Dude,
it's so awesome. Alicia and I went there for one of our anniversaries, and I was just blown away by the architecture.
I think we're gonna have to go take a trip to see it.
Yeah, come pick me up, dude.
Yeah, I'm telling you guys to come for ages. Come down. We'll go to the breweries. We'll have a good old time.
Just like we did last weekend.
Exactly. Yep,
dude.
exactly.
That was fun.
It was a good time.
My
right.
balls still hurt. I'll admit it.
So COVID hits and you have all this time and you decide, all right, I'm just going to start making videos. You've been talking with Alan for a long time. So what are your favorite kind of videos that you're making?
Well, they're all video game right now. My favorite has been playing horror games with you guys, actually. If you guys don't know this, Matt, I almost called him Zombie Christ because that's his gamer tag.
Shameless plug.
Right? Check him out on Twitch. Steve, yeah. Check him out on Twitch TV.
All that.
Like and subscribe.
Yep.
You get some sweet emotes. I'm done. Yeah, no, I like Matt. I gotta be honest. Matt's scream like gets me every time. Like best reaction. You and Chris, dude, like the best reactions. Like even my wife is like, I like watching them. They're funny, you know.
Well, it's like every time we played those, like most horror games, like I don't really like get scared or anything or jump and scream, so I'm just like laughing. Except for when we first played Sign of Silence, and it was like we were playing, and all of a sudden Jake goes. I screamed it because something like just jump scared me just out of nowhere, and Jake's like, "That's the first time I've heard Alan scream," and just started giggling maniacally.
Legit. I think that was the first time I've ever heard you scream.
See, you should try touching his underboob. He definitely screams when you do that.
I'm always too afraid. Just kidding. So, viewers, I'm here to reveal more than you want to know about Matt and Alan. Just so you know, I'm here for you.
Well, we've exposed quite a bit about Alan in the past, like especially
we try real hard to expose Alan.
Yeah, we wait for the live shows to talk about what Alan cuts from the episodes. So it's pretty good.
Like no.
No.
So what's the next step then? I mean, so right now you're making great content out of the video games that you're playing with all of us. But like, what's the next step for either of you guys, like together, separately? What are your guys' next steps? What are you trying to do?
Well, honestly, I think we gotta find a weekend we can hang out and hash some stuff out. I think Alan and I both suck at paperwork, so that's our that's not one of our strengths. And so I think it's like figuring out an LLC. I actually talked to the guy that did my taxes and was kind of asking him about that, and he had highly suggested becoming an LLC or registering so that we could write off all the stupid stuff we've been spending way too much money on. That's all I got. And honestly, that's all I got, this Yeti mic, and I have a Presonus audio box. Got some good editing software with that, so it's kind of like we started buying stuff for that. And we're like, well, we could probably just write it off. It's not that big of a deal. And then found out I couldn't because it wasn't registered. But it's something that I've kind of always wanted to do, and it's like an excuse. But yeah, I think like last time we had talked, like right now, let me retract on that. Last time you and I talked, Alan, we had kind of discussed the idea of doing video editing and audio stuff for content creators, because obviously there's a shitload of people right now that are working from home or don't have a job or being told to stay home worldwide. I know a lot of guys in Canada, like, they're getting paid to sit at home and not work. They're getting bored and restless, and a lot of these guys I know have started YouTubing, and I feel like I sound like an old person when I said YouTubing.
YouTubing.
I was thinking that was somebody said YouTubers earlier today, and I was like, that sounds really old to call somebody a YouTuber. Like, content creator is a better term.
Yeah, I mean, YouTuber is very specific towards where the content creators lie. But
yeah, I'm a content creator. Okay.
I mean, like, I know, like, one of the other things that, like, one of the next steps too is, like, along with that is doing more live or live, not necessarily live video, but actually going out and doing like videos for promotional videos for like businesses and stuff like that, and possibly even live production, which means investing in camera equipment, which is it's expensive.
Yeah,
like it ain't cheap at all.
We found out the hard way there's a huge difference between some cheap Chinese, and I'm not being racist, cheap Chinese microphones and nice microphones,
Well, even like when we did that that video project for Park Rapids Chamber of Commerce, is like I had just bought like a 4K. It's a legit 4K camera, but it was like I found it on Amazon, and it was like it's a Chinese one, but it's got the same Sony chip that Sony uses in their 4K camera. So it's like, oh, hey, and it was like a really good deal, and like came with all this other equipment and stuff, and like we used that, but it was just like you could really tell the difference between like something like that and like one of like the name brand trusted, like a Red or a Blackmagic Design,
Well, and if you're buying like Red and Blackmagic Design, you better have a lot of really high paying gigs to cover that stuff right away,
And that's where we're kind of at. We're like, oh, go ahead, Graham. I'm sorry.
Oh no, yeah, but that's true too, because they'll put those sensors in there, but then they don't put the program and anything else in it that helps support it. Or like, yeah, it has a sensor, but then their lenses are just crap. Oh yeah, 8-year-old lenses, or their bodies are cheap plastic that fall apart after one drop. Or you're almost better off just using your 12 row at that point.
Yep.
There's something to be said about that. I mean, like there's a lot of people who've like made whole ass movies off of those.
Oh yeah. Trust me, I've been tempted to just like get the mount for it and everything and just start going with that for a while.
Get a gimbal and shit for it.
Yep.
Well, even that GoPro we picked up, dude, like that was I mean, your camera handled light pretty well. Is my internet going out?
No, you're good.
You're good.
Okay.
Probably me.
But it dark, it was like crap. Like super pixelated.
But that was the other thing too, is lighting is another big part of that too. And like we didn't we didn't really know that because going into it, we were just amateurs with like shooting video. Like we knew how to like edit stuff together, but it was like we didn't realize like the lighting aspect of it or even the sound aspect of it either. So it's definitely a learning experience for sure.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I feel like I keep looking away, but like the way my camera is, I'm looking at you guys while I'm trying to talk. And so if I'm like ADD is like, what am I doing?
Yeah, no, you're good.
No, and yeah, like I think that was kind of the idea of like let's look at doing video editing for content creators because it's a huge market right now. There's a lot of opportunity. So I've been spending a lot of time networking. You know, and I've like you're in a couple of those online Discord groups too, Matt, where we're working with a lot of other content creators and just helping each other out. I got a buddy that does some amazing artwork. And like him and I are collaborating on some stuff for a guy named Quicksand GM, who does some really good Twitch streams and hoping to kind of open the door with that, you know, and try to get some work so that we can buy better cameras, you know, better sound equipment and not walk away from a video project. So I feel, Alan, I feel like you were feeling the same way too, but you're kind of like, damn it, like that wasn't as high quality as I wanted it, but we did our best with what we had, you know, like.
Oh yeah,
and,
I mean, like we have to start somewhere, obviously, and
yeah,
it was like we had.
Yeah,
that.
you're still building your portfolio and everything too.
I mean, and it wasn't like we just had that camera. We had the GoPro, and then also the what's that one? The one that I bought from you, Graham. That
the DJI.
The DJI, yep.
Yeah.
Which
like a drone?
No, it was just a handheld on a gimbal and
a gimbal one.
Yep.
Yeah.
So like that's what you guys need to add next is like a decent drone. And so you can add like some of that, like do some kind of footage with that kind of stuff, especially if you're doing stuff like for a city or something.
Well, there's no one around here doing it. I mean, so like that's why it's a good idea, and they liked it well enough. I mean, they said they're really happy with it, and they were gonna start giving referrals to us. I think we got one referral, but they never followed up with us.
Yeah.
And then,
well, and you're in that Park Rapids market right now, where everybody down there is like becoming hip and hot to trot with the art scene and everything. It'd be perfect timing to jump on that.
That's kind of where we're at. So I know we talked about kind of meeting up and doing a strategy meeting this sometime in the next few months, you know, and just kind of hit it hard. So
come videography our band, Alan.
Dude,
there you go.
Before
I would so do that.
That's
networking, bros.
That's a perfect way for you to figure out lighting and sound and angles and everything, because it's a discombobulated mess of everything.
Oh God, yeah.
And so to come in and do that, you know, like even with that DJI, that did really good with like black and white. But if I'm sitting there trying to I'm trying to record while playing drums on an iPad. And that's hard to do, so I just went black and white on everything with 4K, and it worked out really good in 4K, but then you still miss out on a lot of fun stuff because you don't have mobility and you don't have the color in there. And but it's those moments are really good to like catch you off guard because there's no retakes.
Yeah. Dude, I'd be down. Let's do it.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, what's cool is like, I mean, I remember like when we first met, like the big thing for you back then was photography and like getting your photos. Like, I mean, because didn't you have photos displayed in places like the cabin and stuff?
Yeah, and I was selling stuff at I think it was called Yellow Umbrella.
Yep, Yellow Umbrella.
I know they changed their name to some, or they had like opened another store in the Yellow Umbrella.
Yeah, they got a couple up here.
Yeah.
So and those did pretty well on trying to think where else I put some of those. But yeah, no, I really loved doing that at the time. It just photography is another one of those things where it's super freaking expensive. And my problem I ran into is I'd have people kind of scoff at me, like if I gave them a really good deal to do, and I hated doing weddings. Like honestly, as someone who does photography, is like the most stressful freaking thing ever, because if you mess up, you're gonna have some really pissed off lady coming yelling at you, you know, like, and you know, like I'd offer to do it like $300 one time, and it was just like, haha, like, oh, that's too expensive. I'm like, dude, like you're gonna pay $2,000, $3,000 for wedding photos easily, you know.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So it was just kind of one of those things. And Minnesota actually has, I don't know if it's still true, but at the time they had some of the highest per capita amount of professional photographers. So that was a little disheartening too. So I just kind of was like, I'm just going to keep it as a hobby, and I don't know, I kind of got lazy.
Yeah, I remember you
with
saying
it.
that. I remember you saying that back in the day. Is that like there's so many like photographers up here.
I was gonna say I could on my phone right now. I could pull up 10 pro photographers that are just within our 218 area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's 2 or 3 in Park Rapids alone.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's kind of hard to really bust through like that.
Yeah, it's completely a tough business to do those things. Like that's why, especially when it comes to like family portraits and weddings, like you said, one, you don't want to go too low. You don't want to bid too low, because then people are gonna, like you said, they're gonna scoff at you and be like, "Well, is he even good enough?" You don't want to bid too high if you don't have the equipment or the crew to come with you or the portfolio to show. And so you're kind of in a shit show of like trying to know what to do with all that stuff.
Well, and it's very similar to like with the band, like
it's terrible.
Like it was the same thing like that. Like we've run into, Graham. Like we're like we know we're worth this much, but like a lot of places won't pay what you're worth.
We'll go and do a show for $2,000 one night, and then we'll go and do a show for $550 the next night. It's absolutely insane. And we're putting on a 4-hour lights, sound, band production on top of travel, and 2 hours is set up and an hour of tear down. And when you're not getting paid the value, but you want to play, right? You want to get your name out there, you want to do things. But then there's places that we've tried to book, and we'll do that. They'll be like, "Oh, well, that's too much money." We're like, "Well, are you freaking kidding me? Like, you're getting all this for this much money." And then there's places like we'll try to just push and be like, "All right, $650. We just want to play music." They'll be like, that's too much money."
Yeah.
We're like, "What? What are you talking about?" Like, when freaking DJs are making more than we are, it's mind-boggling how the market is with this stuff, and it's going to ebb and flow too. Like video production and bands and DJing and karaoke and photography and all that stuff, it always ebb and flows. And,
do you think there's I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, do you think now that, like, because bars were closed for so long, and like I would imagine that in some places bar attendance is probably still kind of suffering. Like, do you think that like these places would be willing to pay a little bit more just because they know, like, hey, live music is gonna get people here? Or are they like, I don't have the fucking money right now?
They don't have the money. So I'm not going to name where we played the other night. We'll do that some other time. I'll kind of drop some names on some good bars in the Northland area. But we played the other night, and what did we play, Alan? 8-1?
Yep. It was 8-1. 8-1. But it was so dead to start with that we didn't go on till close to 9 o'clock.
Oh, yeah, not 9:30. We didn't go on till 9:30. Okay, so we didn't play 8-1. But we went on 9:30. Bars are supposed to be closed around 11 o'clock. But up in rural Minnesota, some of these bars are staying open till midnight, 1 o'clock, and we're playing, one, because we want to get back and start playing music again. Two, a lot of these bar owners are our friends. And so we're trying to support bar owners and being like, hey, like, we get it. Like, we did a couple shows last summer outdoors because they were like, we're going under if we don't do something. So we're like, all right, we'll come and play. So we went and played, and legit, a place that 5 years ago, we could book out with 150, 200 people, 6-7 people, the whole night. The owner, we were talking the other night to get paid. We did not get paid. It was very, very sparse. It just paid for our gas essentially, which is, okay at this point. But he didn't break $300, and that was from opening at 10 a.m. until close. $300.
Yikes!
Yep. On a Saturday night, and not only a Saturday night, but it was like
gorgeous.
80, it was like 80 degrees that day.
Are you talking like this last Saturday?
Yep.
Yeah.
This was last Saturday.
I went to Zorba's that night, and like it was hopping.
But see that's the thing. That's the thing too. Places that were able to stay open, like Azorba's, or like these other different locations that could still throw some parties, right? Have some fun. It's all these smaller businesses that we're encountering are the ones that aren't making it. They're all the ones that are falling apart from this whole thing, and trying to get back up. And we went to another bar just down the road, and he talked about just kind of like scoffing the whole program, like the whole rules and everything, and that saved him essentially. Like staying open till 1 saved the dude. Because everybody else was closing at 10 or only open for a couple hours or only open for like 2 days a week or 3 days a week. And he's like, well, this is my time frame. I'm sticking with it. And that saved him because he was the only bar doing that, but it killed the rest of them on this highway loop that's normally always packed with people.
Yep.
Every freaking night, like a Zorba's. Like these places are always packed. And for the last 12 years playing in these areas, it's been a blast. But especially this last year, but these last couple of years, it's been dying anyway. But this was just the heel for sure.
Well, it was like
That's
even
crazy.
there was one place we played in the same town that we played this last weekend that used to be a bar and now it's a daycare center.
Yeah.
And like that used to be the spot. Like, I mean, like people 20, 30 miles away were all coming there and it was just packed from like 8 p.m. till close.
Yeah. We could say that we're playing there and we get people from Grand Forks, Detroit Lakes, Monoman, Bemidji, like all over driving down to come see us. And then we'd play the next night, the city just down the road. Same huge crowd, like another huge crowd. It's weird times for all that. Part of it is that we're aging out, and the people who followed us are aging too. So it's harder to like do that stuff. But like just seeing the bar dynamic and the job dynamic, like you said, weddings. So me and our sound guy Brett, we do DJing, and in the last year we've done 4 shows. And so when you think of like videography or photography for weddings too, none of that's happening.
Yeah.
Killing the industry.
Yep.
I mean, a lot of times you're talking like now they're doing weddings for like a small group of 20. Why spend all this money on a DJ when it's really just like
and a photographer? Why spend all the money on a photographer when you're not having this big shindig experience that you're going to pay someone to be there all day, all night to take photos? Now you're just doing a backyard thing.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw one on the way out at a golf course, and there was like 40 people there, and guaranteed they just had a little party at their house, and that was it.
Yep.
Which is okay too. I'd much rather do that if I'd ever,
Well, and like
whatever.
Jake, I'm sure you've experienced this, but like when you go and do wedding photography, like it's always like they always hire the professional photographer, and then there's always that one friend who does photography, and they're like,
100%.
oh yeah, and they're always like the bride or the groom or whoever is always like, oh yeah, you can come and take photos too. We have a photographer, but we want you to do some photos for us too. And they're always getting in the way and shit, and you're just like, okay.
Yep. I've literally had someone do that to me and like stand in front of me and kind of push the way around. And you're like, dude, come on. Like, I'll take happy photos if you want, man. Like, but yeah.
My favorite's always the DJ from another town that's a friend of the family or something come up and is like, want to talk gear and like what he would do or whatever. And I'm like, I ain't got time for you, man. Like, I love that you're doing this, but like, this is not the time to like critique.
you bro, you don't use Eevee? Come on, man.
Yep. Exactly. That's always the comment. The Eevee comment. What lights are those, huh?
Yeah, we don't use Eevee. We use JBL.
Yeah. We can't afford Eevee.
Yeah, but
they're expensive, man.
No,
yeah, but
we can afford them.
But the JBLs are just so nice because they're all powered, so we don't have to carry the stupid amps around anymore.
Yeah. We've used JBL for 12 years, and that's what we're sticking with.
I feel like most people don't really give a crap about brand half the time either. It's just like this is a sweet setup, dude. I went for it. It was a good deal.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. They just want their music. They just want to dance and
Yeah.
have fun. They don't give a shit what it sounds like. I'd probably be like,
True.
turn the bass up. I can't feel it. Turn the bass.
Yeah,
up.
but does it got RBG though?
Yeah,
gotta
exactly.
You gotta have RBG. If everything's not lighting up, I'm not into it. That's me for sure.
Right,
100%.
Right.
Oh,
Buying those Walmart speakers with RGB lighting in the speaker
Oh,
grills.
but they look nice, but they sound like shit. Like they're terrible.
Well, it's
like how do you have this 12-inch speaker in there and it just sounds that bad?
Yeah.
It is amazing how that can be that bad.
Well, it's like
I want to know like who like approved it. Like, dude, check this out. Hear me out. RGBs, but it sounds like shit. All right, let's sell it, dude. Let's do it.
The video is gone.
Oh, there it is.
That was weird. It just like cut out.
I used to sell for a company and sold these speakers, very off-brand, like low end, all pretty much Walmart speakers, and those things would sell like hotcakes because they're almost like a throwaway type situation, right? Like you use it for a few months, you only spent $40 on this big speaker that has Bluetooth and lights and wheels on it.
Is that the one company you worked for?
Yeah, but this is a product that we would sell.
Okay. No, but I'm just saying, like, is this when you worked for that?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So we would sell EV top of the line, turbo sound top of the line, and then in the same day, and you're selling like a speaker for $1,800, and then in the same day you're selling a speaker that looks like the EV, but it's from who knows, Guatemala or South Japan or something like that, and you're selling it for $50. Well, a lot of people just to get in the game will buy that crap, but then too, like some dumb kid who thinks it's cool to have these big stupid speakers in their room to piss their parents off,
Dude. Hey, dude, I kind of did a hustle like that too, man. In high school, I worked for a guitar shop, and he purposely sold Washburn Lion, like the crappy Target ones, just so people would bring him back in to get him worked on them with like 2 days later because the bridges were so bad. It's like, oh, dude.
Was he also like, hey, PV is just as good as like Fender, man? So just buy this.
Oh no! Well,
just buy this PV amp.
Oh, if it's that
bad?
I mean,
to be in the 80s, buy the PV amp. But
I mean, to be fair, I have like a PV cab for my bass, and it honestly doesn't sound awful. But it's a sealed box. It's not ported. So I mean, it's just
Alan's
totally
about
different
status
sound.
though when he plays. So he's got like the most custom built preamps and like. I ordered this from Germany.
Now you're speaking my language.
Is it more expensive than what Matt has?
Yeah.
He's talking about my hand built in Sweden bass amp, my Dark Glass.
I heard about that.
My Dark Glass 900.
Yeah, he had such an orgasm over this thing, but then yet he puts a fucking beer on it, and his bass cab vibrates so much it pours beer all over his his brand new freaking amp.
No, that was not the Dark Glass. That was the acoustic. That was the acoustic head.
Yeah. Either way.
Did you ruin it?
No, it still works.
Oh, I was like, dude.
No, my Dark
They've got to be built. They've got to be built to like be able to take a beer, right?
For dumbasses.
Oh. I mean, here's the thing about the acoustic. When I bought it, I was stoked because all I had before was just a combo Fender bass amp. It was like a 15-inch driver, and I don't know, I can't remember if it was 300 or 500 watts. And it was like, oh yeah, this is really cool. But I was like, I was afraid I was going to start blowing it because I had to keep turning it up because I couldn't hear because of our guitar player. Yeah. And then I was stuck next to Graham on the drums, and he's not, light on anything.
I got arms.
And so like we were at this music shop, and I'm like I see this acoustic combo is a 410 cab, and then 1,000 watt amp, and I'm like, oh, I need this. And then I was talking to the sound guy. I'm like, hey man, can you loan me the money? He's like, sure. So then I buy this, and like we had to like get it back, like stuffed in the car with four other guys to get it back over there to set it back up. And
needless to say, he had a baby with it because it sat on his lap the whole way home.
I mean, it was, but it sounded great. And then but see, this is Alan's deal.
Alan will spend the money, and you guys all know this. Alan will spend the hard-earned money on this crap, and the second it breaks, he's like, fuck it. I'm just going to get something new anyway. So this 410 blows a speaker, and he just plays it blown for like 5 years. Breaks a wheel off of it. He's just like, teetering it into the gig every single night.
I can see that.
Yeah, and then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get some. Then I got my dark glass, and then my 210 ported TC Electronics cab, and now I've switched over to basically like I don't bring any cab or any head with. I use my floor pedal now, which is a Sonic Cake Boom Avenue, which sounds great, but I want to get the Helix now instead, so I can like do a lot more tweaking and stuff with it.
Alan thinks our band is going to be around for another 20 years, so he wants to keep spending more money on something that's dying.
Hey man, he's just building his portfolio so when you die, he can go to a metal band. So like, when you're playing, then, because like you're saying, like it's not loud enough. Do you put like, do you use like in-ear monitors? Would that help?
The last 3 years. Has it been 3 years since I started that? The problem is like I have tinnitus, and so like
weird.
I mean, go figure. But like after shows, it would be so bad that like the ringing was like 80% of what I could hear, and then I'd get home and I'd try to go to sleep and I couldn't sleep because it was just nothing but ringing. So finally, I said, "Screw it." I'm kidding, and I'm gonna get the in-ear monitors, and so then like I ended up paying at least half for this wireless monitor set, that then our sound guy also paid the other half on, and then like he was like, how would I just like take the rest of it? And I'm like, okay, that works, as long as I get to use it when we play. And then I was researching like monitor, like in-ear monitors that you can buy on like Amazon and whatnot, and not have to spend like $3,000 to get a mold done and get all these like custom IEMs done. And I found these great ones. These what was the first one? Some ZS10 Pro, I think, is what I'm using now, and they actually sound amazing. Like as long as you get like the right like tips to go into your ear canal, it just sounds great. So I switched over to that. And then Graham decided, oh, I want to do in-ear monitors too. Yeah.
No, you have to do monitors at this point, especially after playing for so long. Because that same thing, like 4 days of ringing in your ears.
Yep.
But with Alan's bass too, like with that new cab and with all his boosters and all that crap, his pedals that he has, like his bass is so heavy that he has to be turned down, and like it just vibrates the whole place, and we can't hear anything anyway. Like as a drummer, I'm always in this weird pocket where the sound's just swirling around me. And so if Alan's bass is too much, I need to feel it. I don't need to hear it. And so if his bass is too much, then it's just a whirlwind, and that's all I hear is Alan's bass, and it's crazy like what that does.
Well, I remember,
and how much intensity, like it kicks my body's ass.
Yeah, which is the way
I can see that.
I mean, like the other thing we had looked at was like getting like the butt kickers. There was even like a body vest thing that you could wear that like had these like vibration pads in it.
Fucking Darth Vader over here wearing his.
I was even looking at that. I'm like, God, but then the price tag on all that stuff is just so ridiculously expensive. I'm like,
So you didn't buy it immediately? That's what I thought you were going to say.
That's exactly.
Buying it.
He's going to go, hey, Brett, can you hook me up with this and I'll pay you back?
the bank of Brett.
The bank of Brett.
Hey man,
all right, so back to our guest here, because no one gives a shit about me and Alan on that stuff.
We went way off on the trail there.
Yep. That was a rabbit hole for sure.
I'm a tangent boy myself, man.
I love a good tangent. I can't have a conversation without having a tangent.
Oh no!
Every conversation I ever have goes into a tangent.
I don't know how many tangents we had last weekend, but there was so many.
I feel like every episode is always massive tangents. We end up on point A, and then it's like A1, A2, A down to A90, and then finally we get to B, and we're like, wait a minute, what the fuck are we even talking about?
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's why I like watching it so much, man.
I like to think it adds to our authenticity.
Yeah.
For sure.
100%.
For sure.
100%.
Yeah. So Jake,
The fact that we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jake, you got a baby coming soon, right?
Little girl's on the way. July, I think June or July.
Yeah.
Mm. How you feeling?
Yeah,
I don't think
You
she heard me.
anxious?
she don't watch it, so you're good.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you did this. Either one of you guys, Matt or Graham. I know Alan, unless you have it on child that we don't know about. I didn't really settle in until I was like at the hospital, and then I'm like, shit, this is happening for real. You know?
Yeah. Yep.
So it's hard for me to say right now. Like, I'm a little bit nervous, just because I've known a lot of women who have been sexually assaulted. And so like there's that fear in the back of my mind, and not wanting to go to jail for something. You know, for being angry about if something did happen. So I have like really random thoughts like that pop into my head where it's like man, if I ever found out about something, like, dude, I feel like I'd go feral. To be honest,
Oh, man.
Yeah.
you know what I mean. Like, and it's
We all
not
have
something I'm necessarily proud of, but you know,
we all have a murder plan. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that though. I mean, like, I definitely am way more protective over my daughter than I am my son. Like, I mean, and Teddy's just as vulnerable as Whitney is, but I mean, like,
100%, that's true.
but
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's my little girl. Like, maybe it's because she's my firstborn too. I don't know, but like, I always find myself thinking more along the lines of like, how is she feeling? Like, what can I do to make her feel better? And like, I feel like with Teddy has more of that relationship with his mom, and Whitney has that relationship with me. But I mean, it's definitely unique, because I tell you what, right now, like, I mean, Graham could probably agree with this. Like, your daughter will definitely have you wrapped around her finger, because like, she'll love mom and all that for sure, and she's gonna want to be pretty like mom, but like, she's gonna cling to dad. Like, 100%.
Well, like one of my friends, you know, she had her with her second child was a boy, and I told her, you know, all boys are mom's boys, and all girls are daddy's girls. There's like there's just something about that, like, where, I mean, I've seen it hundreds of times, is that the girls always, like, there's something, it's special, the relationship they have with their dad, and whereas it's the same with the boys. Like, you know, being a son myself, you know, obviously it's a very special relationship you have with your mother, you know.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, it's really weird, because I feel like daughters bring out like a kind of tenderness, a kind of tenderness in you as a male that you really didn't know you had. Like, I mean, obviously you're gonna have those moments with your sons and stuff too, but like with your little girl, it's a little bit different. Like, I mean, she's gonna bring out. It's like the whole thing. Like, you might be too masculine to have a tea party, but if your daughter asks you to have a tea party, you better put on the dress, because you're.
I know I'm gonna crumble on that shit, dude. Like,
Oh, and it's fantastic. Like, it's so fun. Like, I mean, it's
and kids in general, it's easy just to fall into just wanting them to think you're cool, because there's so many moments where they don't. You know, or they at least act. I mean, I have a teenager, a almost 12-year-old daughter, and then a 6-year-old boy, and then we have a foster kid who's a teenager. And so, you know, it's all about trying to be cool for moments. You still got to play daddy. You still got to, you know, do that part and hold the fort down. But
yeah,
it's always encouraging when they just want to like do the stupidest, most chill thing with you, and you're just like, you think in your mind, you're like, oh man, I got other things to do. But even just 5 minutes of it, man, it's like the best thing ever.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I
son.
Alan, shut up! You don't have kids.
Well, I was gonna say I can't speak for my own children, because I don't have any yet, or that I know of. but like as an uncle, it's like I kind of understand where you're coming from a little bit there. It was like when my niece was born, that was like, I don't know, like I was like all of a sudden looking at like Barbies and dresses and stuff, like I gotta get her that, and like playing them with her, or
Oh
like,
yeah.
like she'll start like coming up to me like when I'm watching her, like, like, oh, I'm gonna put makeup on you, I'm gonna do your hair, and I'm like, okay.
Mhm.
And you just let
Here's the
him do
deal.
it.
Here's the deal with Alan. Alan is going to be a good daddy.
100%. Man.
That's for sure. Because you're getting all 4 of mine next week. I'm out.
That was
I
a good
quit.
way to drop that.
Mhm.
Well,
On that bombshell.
I keep asking Alan to come babysit my dogs on the weekend. Just like, hey, can you come house sit for me? Realistically, I'm just gifting him a family.
just like, come watch my spawn for the weekend.
Mhm. Mhm.
Forever.
Forever.
I'll give you my fucking house.
Yeah. So how do you think your boy is gonna handle having another kiddo around the house?
We're a little nervous about that. I think part of it is, and it's really weird to think about, his whole life has been around COVID. Like, he's 2, like,
Yeah.
he doesn't remember the first year easily, so it's like so all he knows is the dogs and us, and so it's been kind of our thoughts been, we're a little bit worried about it, to be honest.
Yeah.
And we've been trying to come up with a game plan to be like, okay, well, how do we make him still feel like we have, and then he still feels loved? Because I mean, I've been home, this last 3 or 4 months, I want to say. I was working a job where I was on the road pretty much all the time. No, not 3 or 4 months. That ended, I think, back in January or February. Um, but majority of the last year, I've been home a lot, and so it's like, I'm probably gonna be start working again here pretty soon this year, and um, out of the house. So we're a little bit worried about that, to be honest. And I don't know if you guys have advice, like just trying to make sure that he doesn't feel
I
like
think
he's
we
not
just tried
important
to
and stuff.
I feel like we just tried to build the excitement as much as we could with Whitney, and like, so like having a little brother around was like super super awesome to her, but I think like it also came down to like, it comes down to like where the kiddo is going to need the most attention, right? So like
Yep.
those first few months, like obviously um like your wife is going to be with the baby a lot. um
Mhm.
because that baby's going to be heavily dependent on mom. And so in that situation, that's when it's like, all right, you're going to come hang out with dad for a little while. We're going to go do some cool stuff, and like filling in that gap there. And then basically you're just going to, it tends to flip flop then, because then there's going to come a time where, you know, that baby, because here's the great thing. Like Teddy hated my guts probably for the first 3-4 months. Like he hated everybody. He didn't want to hang out with anybody except for Alicia. You tried to pick him up, he cried. I think the only person who held him and he didn't cry was my dad.
Mm.
Beyond besides Alicia, weirdly enough. Like, I mean, everybody else hated him. But like I remember this one time I was trying to play with him like I always was, and then he smiled. And like that's when he actually wanted to, like, that was the exact moment I like blew a piece of paper at him and he laughed. And from that moment, that's when he's like, okay, I like you now. And then that's when like the dynamic started to shift a little bit, where I could spend more time with Teddy and get to know him more and bond with him. And then Alicia was able to do more with Whitney at that point.
Mm.
But I mean, I think being upfront, like being there with him and like giving him the attention he needs, and also it also helps your wife a lot too, because like she already is gonna have her hands full with a new baby.
Mhm.
You know, you doing as much as you can, make sure your son is also still feeling the love. Like
You just
it's
make
like, yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, just make him the helper.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna be the
He
most
does
important.
like that, yeah.
Yeah, and that's with anything, like with the baby, with mom, like, and always point that out, like, hey, we got to set the table for mom and baby. Hey, can you bring this to mom? She needs it for baby. Like always those things, or like even just small stuff like diapers, like having your kid pick up diapers and bring them to you. like anything that they can do to feel like they're a part of baby. At some point, it's gonna be like the kid was always there.
Yeah.
It goes by
Yeah.
pretty quick, and being that they're so young, your kids are gonna be so close together.
Yeah.
It'll be easy
was
peasy.
They're
gonna
gonna
say-
fight like shit, but they'll.
Yeah.
It's because they love each other. Like
Yeah.
Whitney and Teddy fight like else, but
Well,
That's my niece and nephew too. Is like when my nephew was born, like my niece was just an absolute terror because, you know, she was an only child for a couple of years and like got all the attention. And then all of a sudden my nephew comes along and he's getting a bunch of attention and she just like, but it was just like that. It was like, oh yeah, you just got to involve them. And it worked for them. And then, then my brother had the twins and both of them were old enough that like they were actually wanted to help mom with the twins. So
yeah. Well, I think it helped us too, or is prepping us a little bit because when my sister and my niece moved up here, both her and Artie were kind of like, well, I'm the center of attention, and like they had to learn to kind of like get along, and now they're best friends, and so that's pretty cool to be able to see at least that, not the same degree, but
yeah, but I mean, it helps a lot. I mean, it's definitely something that he's already familiar with. So I mean, I think it comes back to the whole point that I mean, he is young, and I guess that does have some detriment. I guess only because like you could end up in a situation where he's like he just doesn't understand. But I mean, the bond they're going to create is going to be real good. I mean, Graham's kids. I mean, how old was your youngest when you guys had Tucker?
Oh well, Lorelai would have been. She's 6. She's 11 now, so 6 years.
Yeah,
she was 6 years older than our youngest when we had, or 6
And
years
how
older
old-
than Tucker when we had him.
And how old was your oldest at that point? Oh, he frozen.
perfect timing.
he's deep in thought.
Oh, he's back.
Oh,
He's back.
Continue.
You know, I even decided not to hook up my camera, not to hook up my mic. I'm not even looking at anything on the internet just so like this dumb, brand new, expensive computer will let me do a podcast.
Power line adapter.
Hey,
telling you.
Starlink.
Yeah. Starlink.
That's what I'm using right now, man.
So how old
For
was
real?
he? He must have been like 9 then, right?
Yeah. I want to talk about the Starlink thing here for a sec.
Dude.
Is it legit?
Yeah, I'm getting 150, 200 down and about 15 to 50 up any given day.
Dang.
It's super impressive. Like when I was down there, I was like, I gotta test this. And I was like, this is awesome.
I've had close to 500 down before. It's getting there, man.
That's
I
insane.
get hiccups every once in a while, but it's gotten a lot better in the last few months since they did some upgrades. So,
well, and give it a year, they're going to put up another 40 satellites or something in the next 6 months, I think, or something like that. That's crazy. This morning, side note, this morning I was listening to NPR because I'm old. And they were talking.
I listen to NPR.
Yeah. And they were talking about disconnected communities and how there's so many like rural communities and communities all over the nation, whether in the mountains or tribal communities or just all these different rural places that don't have internet, and how internet is the new, like almost the new what would you call it when you have the social class, the new social class, that if you can either have internet that's freaking amazing and blah 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 because you're in New York City and you know that's where it works, or you have like mediocre stuff for like us, or you have like nothing at all, you know. And they were talking about ways to do it. Not one, they talked about private sector stuff and how they need to leave corporations out of it and just have private sector like start building up. But they never talked about Starlink, and like that was my first thought on there. Was like, man, Starlink is like you can be anywhere.
Oh yeah, they're gonna
currently in the northern
small
hemisphere only, but yeah.
So they just opened up to the UK, New Zealand, and a bigger chunk of the US, I guess now too. So
it's insane.
It's the future, man. It's the future.
Yeah.
I'd like to see
Perfect.
speak
It works
for
perfectly
yourself,
with
Graham.
flat Earth. So
Yeah, I mean, it just bounces off the edges, dude.
Yeah, bro.
yeah, the mirrors.
And the turtle underneath is the one that holds the keys, right?
I mean,
Yeah.
underneath is just a big antenna. It's
Yeah.
Wait,
It's
the,
working.
the turtle changed its shell for an antenna now?
I heard they cleaned
what
the
was your
turtle.
what was your startup on that?
600 for the gear, and then it's about 100 a month. But like in comparison, it's $600 is worth me telling CenturyLink to go F themselves for one.
Right, right.
And then because we were getting 10 meg and 0.5 up, and they had the audacity to call that high speed internet, and then they took the money that Minnesota gave them and tried to steal competition from everyone in town. So that's the kind of crap that company pulls, and I'll say it publicly because F you CenturyLink.
Well,
To-
and
Right
not only that, but like you're also in like a really weird spot where like another provider is like seriously like we went out the one day when I was up, and it was like across the road they had a fiber line, and then there was another one like 6 blocks about half a mile away where they had another box.
I can get gigazone, like gig speeds, a mile in any direction from my. We live like what, half a mile outside of Park Rapids, a mile maybe at the a stretch, and it's like, it all that's because of some stupid franchise agreement with the city. Like
crazy.
like Paul Bunyan would be down here. They're everywhere around Park Rapids except for in town. Except they're in town, I'd have gig speeds, but they said the franchise agreements are just really bad in that town. So someone's getting money under the table. That's all I gotta say. But
what it sounds like.
Honestly though, I think it's gonna change the world, dude. Like, and I feel like a wiener kind of saying that, but like legit, like I think this is gonna be one of the biggest like technological advancements in our generation that is just gonna like change people's lives, honestly. Because
and it's gonna kill these corporate pricks.
Yeah, well, and people are gonna move to rural areas. Like they're like, dude, I can get out of the city and work from home and have reliable, fast internet. Like, I don't know, man.
Well, and that's what NPR was talking about this morning. There's a city down in Texas. I'd butcher the name trying to remember anything like that, but it was a small little community that had their own little cooperative. And when the when the recession happened and all these grants and loans were coming out, like they decided like we're going to connect our city. The city wasn't connected to anything, and they blew it up. Fiber optics. They took out all the coaxial stuff, and they have like some of the highest speeds in the nation in this small little community down in Texas. And there's people moving from California, New York, because of, especially during COVID, that just need places. They don't want to work. They have to work from home. They're never going to work in the corporation again. Like banks are selling buildings left and right because they're no longer going to house staff in them. You're just going to work from home. So all these people are like, screw it, we're not going to live here. We're going to move down to where they specifically are moving because of the internet, and that's huge. And so like these type of situations are the same thing. Like I think it's gonna. I agree with you. I think it's just gonna blow things up and change a lot of like how we do things in our world.
I mean,
I'd read,
like I was telling you, Jake, when you got it, I was like, I would totally do it because I love the idea of it. But I'm really lucky where I live, and I have an absolutely amazing local ISP that gives me ridiculous speeds. Like they were one of the ones that, I mean, and it's a co-op, and they were one of the ones that took all that grant money, and they were like immediately started updating all the infrastructure and did fiber to the home. Almost everywhere in their service area now is all fiber to the home. But like that is like extremely rare and unheard of. I mean, like Verizon Fios doesn't do that everywhere. What's the other big one? Charter.
Listen. Hold up.
Hey, you haven't announced where you work, and you just did it, by the way.
Listen, I don't know much about Fios, but I heard it's an East Coast. But if I did, it's an East Coast product. It was never meant for the whole country, and I imagine that maybe some employees are a little butthurt because they can't get a work discount on it.
That'd be
Don't
so
talk shit-
unfortunate.
Don't talk shit about FiOS
Or total.
Or total.
or Total.
What about Colgate?
I heard that their toothpaste makes people feel like a pile of shit. So Starlink's the move.
Yeah.
Adam,
All right,
this episode's for you, Adam.
here's what we've learned so far tonight. Alan has, well, we already knew Alan has expensive taste, but Alan dumps beer on his expensive things.
Like a real
No.
barbarian.
The one I
a
dumped
Viking.
beer on was not necessarily expensive.
We know that Graham hustled people with shitty speakers. We know that Alan and Jake are both inspired by Odin, which is fantastic.
But Alan won't confess his lack of faith towards another. Maybe someday. Because he said if he wasn't Christian, he would be a pagan.
Oh, you know what? Odin promised to get rid of all the ice giants.
He did.
Do you
I
see
don't.
the ice giants?
Yeah.
I haven't. I'll be honest.
It's like. I mean, that's why I always tell people vote for Odin, because every politician makes these promises and they never follow through. But Odin followed through.
True. So I think it's about time for some Ask Reddit, because that's where we get our. Let's get a little spicy in here. What do we got for Ask Reddit tonight?
All right.
We'll let Jake go first on all of these since he's the guest.
Okay. All right.
I'll say,
I'm
actually,
gonna go with a little more.
Are we going deep, Alan? Are we going deep?
Well, I've got two good ones. The first one,
right.
the first one's a good thinker.
Okay.
And the second one is definitely more entertaining. So,
Okay.
the first question this week is, what is something you will not buy the cheap version of? Jake, go.
Honestly, dude.
Cheese.
No, I eat Kraft single, bro. Come on. Don't listen to Amy. She's full of shit. Photography like honestly, like lenses, photography stuff, like sound equipment, like every once in a while I'll find a cheap sound thing, but like I've bought cheap headsets. They don't shield the cables, dude. There's a reason why it's cheaper. They cut something out. I mean, that's a big one for me.
Okay. Matt, how about you?
Yeah. So for me, it's number one, like jeans, and number two, more importantly, shoes. So my grandma.
Oh yeah.
My grandma told me, because my grandma was a very frugal woman. And, like she'd save everything. She had like this cup of what we would call weird straws, because like if she like went to a fast food restaurant, she'd always wash and keep the straw. Just weird. Like she grew up in the Depression, so she just knew not to waste anything. But her biggest thing she always told me, because my grandma was also a server for 50 years, right? And so she said, you should always be willing to spend a good amount of money on shoes, because the health of your feet is the most important thing ever. I mean, so like if you're going to be on your feet, you need to spend the money. So my grandma would spend, $120, $150 on a pair of shoes, because she wanted to make sure that she was taken care of. Because I mean, if you think about it, if you're on your feet all day, like number one, your feet hurt. But what else hurts? Your legs hurt, your back hurts. Like it affects everything. So I personally believe, like when I go to buy shoes, I mean, yeah, I go to like the discount barn and stuff, but I'm looking for shoes that are high quality, that have like good support and everything. I'm not going to go to Walmart to buy shoes, right? So I mean, like I'll
last
drop
like 5 minutes, anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I'll drop $120 on a pair of shoes.
Mhm.
Like I don't a lot, because I can find them pretty cheap other places that are normally that much, but don't skimp out on your shoes. You're just basically robbing yourself of your health later on in life.
Okay. Good answer.
So next episode is about about why you shouldn't wear shoes. That's gonna be the next episode.
Wear Crocs
Wear
instead.
Crocs.
Wear Crocs.
No.
Two-wheel or
No.
four-wheel?
No.
Two-wheel or four-wheel?
I got mine
Four-wheel
in
all
two-wheel
day.
drive right now.
Oh,
Yeah. All right, Graham. What are you not waste? What are you not cheaping out on?
can I make a comment real quick?
Yeah.
So the straw thing, my great grandma used to do that. She always called them pipes, and they would always have gross food stuck inside of them because she couldn't see that stuff. Sorry, that was stupid, but
It's
I
funny
can
thinking
relate
about
so hard. I can relate so hard.
All right. Great.
Yeah, so man, clothes, I'm kind of in that realm. Like, I like a good sweater. That's not gonna like fall apart on me or stretch out in the gut too quick, you know. How some of those are, like the hoodies are too tight and it just feels like you're being choked. Like I buy Duluth Trading Post clothing.
Oh, that's good stuff, man.
And so when and it sucks, like that's like my only thing like I'm finicky about is like pants have to be just right for me, and a shirt has to fit just right, and a sweater I wear sweaters all the time, so like if I don't get a good sweater, some type of clothes like that. And then tires, I don't skip out on tires for my truck, man. And I've never have, like when it comes to my vehicles, like there's a few things like you always got to do, like a good oil change and a good set of tires and things like that. And tires is like that's my key thing. Like I'll spend $1,200 on a set of tires for my truck and not blink and just be okay with it because I've had shitty tires and know what they do.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
How about you, Alan? You don't keep out on anything.
Yeah.
I mean, so like mainly for me, one of the big things I don't cheap out on, like you said, Matt, is shoes and boots. Especially especially like my hunting boots and my winter boots, is because of where we live in Minnesota. I mean, you need a really good pair of boots.
Yeah, you gotta make sure the frostbite don't get you on the toes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Especially when you're trudging through the 5 feet of snow. That just dropped on the night before there.
Yeah.
Am I in a nightmare?
Yeah, sure. You betcha there.
Yeah, you are.
The other thing, underwear, because I mean that's kind of like some pretty important.
Dude, I will rock a fucking hole in my underwear until my
Alan,
wife is just pissed.
No.
Alan, I'm gonna disagree with you on the underwear because I've seen your underwear.
You haven't seen it lately.
My kids will go to bed and like
he's rocking them silkies, boys.
My kids will go to bed and that's like, okay, Dad's gonna take his pants off.
It's always wiggling.
So
my kids will go to bed and then like I'm like, okay, it's time. Dad can take his pants off, whatever. I'll sit down on the couch. My whole left nut just drops out of my boxers and Elise will be like, I think it's time for a new pair of boxers. I'm like, and maybe, and then I still wear them for another 6 months.
I've just stopped. I just don't even anymore.
No, as soon as like
I don't go back and do that.
Now I'm at the point if there's even like a couple strands loose, I'm like, nope, toss them. Just get some new pairs.
Oh, Alan's fucking rich now, dude. He just fucking Oh, you can just buy underwear whenever you want. I will say this though, I will not mess with a holy sock.
No.
Oh, I do not. Like you get that pinky toe, it's like, fuck you. It just pops right out of the sock.
Right.
Fuck that.
My grandpa,
so uncomfortable.
My grandpa, it was the funniest thing because I saw this happen. Is like he was sitting in his chair and he had this hole in his sock and it was on the top. And my grandma goes, "I told you to throw those socks out." He said, "Why? I just flip it over and now the bottom of my socks don't have holes in them." And so I've always remembered that. I'm like, I can't do that. My feet are like big and wide, and
I can't do that either. I can handle my left nut flopping out of my boxers, but I can't handle my little toe flopping out. That's uncomfortable.
And definitely the other thing for me is definitely electronic stuff. Like I don't want to cheap out on electronics. Like
me either.
Look, I mean, I've got a freaking iPhone.
No.
Yeah, I saw what you did to that Android, bro.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true. Alan and I both saw that, or Jake and I both saw that. Alan just fucking whipped his phone at the ground because it glitched once, shattered into 1,000 pieces.
Yeah. that was the day your cheap bike broke on you when we're biking to Matt's house, and you're just super pissed off.
Well, that's a funny story because Jake and I, it was when we were biking back, remember? Like, it's, we're going past Lake Bemidji, Mississippi River, everything, like, just on the bridge. And all of a sudden, my freaking handlebars go whoop forward and I fly forward and, like basically nut myself on my handlebars and then fly off on the front. And Jake, like, stops and he's just, like, he's laughing so hard, like, I thought he was going to have, like, a asthma attack or something.
It was
That reminds me of the time that we went discing back in the day, and Jake rode his bike over there, and he was trying to be a badass and like do like when you're a kid, you do like that side skid and you flip your tire forward.
Yep.
Jake tried to do that, just fucking blap, just
I hit
biffed it on me,
dude.
It was
Bet you didn't know I could do a front flip.
All right, and what's our next one?
All right, so
we're going deep on this one.
It gets pretty crazy. This one's just more like entertaining, but
okay.
So the Ask Reddit is you've been kidnapped. 30 minutes later, your kidnapper dumps you on the street because you won't stop talking about what? Jake.
Alan's nipples.
Oh, you guys really love them.
How much being tied up in a trunk of a car turns me on.
For me,
tighter.
Yeah. Seriously, bro, let me tell you how to tie a rope.
If I had to answer that question,
you need to use that? You need to use that. What's that duct tape? That nice kind.
Gorilla tape.
Yeah, you need to use that Gorilla tape. Why are you using this shit? Just something weird.
Well, actually, if you tie it like this,
yeah. Every time he rips the tape off, oh yeah, baby.
Oh, God.
Just completely get him going.
Yeah, I like to think that I would be talking about like RGB shit in my computer, but I know for a fact because like my old boss Jess, like I told her once, I'm like, I get the feeling that you just aren't interested in me talking about my gardening. She's like, yeah, I mean, I low-key almost said once to somebody like, if Matt tries to talk to me about his garden again, I swear to God. So I think it would actually be my gardening because, like, if somebody
or his barbecue,
I would talk about my gardening before the barbecue for sure. Like, you get me talking about gardening, I can talk for hours about gardening.
Like I set Mrs. Bill 9 up that one time to talk to you about gardening.
Mm-hmm. I won't shut up about it, like, because I'm so obsessed with it.
Oh yeah, Matt and I have long conversations about gardening.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It would be gardening for me, definitely.
Matt and I are going to start a gardening show,
dude.
It's not a bad idea, actually.
People want me to do. I've been asked to do a tie-dye stream and a gardening stream.
Hell yeah!
Which I'm into both of those ideas. So.
Dude, I'll hop in and do a gardening stream with you.
Sounds good.
Twitch has opened my eyes to the shit people are willing to spend hours and hours and hours watching, and I love it. Like, it's just insane. Some of the stuff people are into on there. It's like, all right.
So, Alan, what's your answer?
What I wouldn't stop talking about? Oh, God.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's so many things that I'm into.
I think it'd be the rapist having to listen to you FaceTime Matt about gardening.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's so many things you don't want to stop talking about, and so many things we don't want to listen to.
I mean, I would probably go on about Star Wars or Stargate or
the Thrawn trilogy.
Yeah, I mean, or I'd talk
about.
God. I mean, I don't know.
I would probably start bitching about the new Star Wars movies, Alan. So I hear you.
Oh my God,
we would.
Oh my God,
I already got Matt.
Nope, I'm not into that at all. They're not that bad, and I'll leave it at that.
So, do we want to do one more question?
One more question.
All right,
give us one more.
Okay. All right. If you were offered $20 million to not say a word for an entire year, what would you do it, and what's the first thing you would say after?
I don't feel like that would be that hard to do.
20. I mean, not a single word. Are you? Okay, are we assuming that they're tracking you even when you're alone?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, like, so basically you wouldn't be able to speak at all, so you'd have to be, like, silent.
Oh,
when
no
you're-
talking at all?
Yeah, yeah.
Shit, I
Yeah.
can do that.
$20 million.
And yes, that does include that also includes nonverbal. So, like, you could...
What?
Yeah. So, like, nonverbal communication, not
No.
necessarily, like,
I can't do
texting
it.
or writing things down. You could do simple words, like writing them, but you cannot say them.
I don't think most people could ever do it. I think people want to
Like
think
how
they
to-
could, but
I'd have to learn how to sign. But let's say that we did.
you
make
just
it
flip
through.
everyone off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just got...
Well, all right, so let's assume that we were able to do it. The first word you would say, probably fuck.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say
Probably
Jesus
fuck.
Christ or like beer.
Like ah shit. Like, you know, like it would definitely be a curse word.
Can,
That
you,
sucks.
100%.
can you imagine, like, going to a bar and not being able to, like, tell the bartender what you want? You'd have to,
Just-
like, try to write it down or, like, point.
Or,
My
like,
wife would kill me.
I feel like
could
I
get
feel
the
like you have
20
to do
million.
that anyway.
yeah, sometimes. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I don't think that I would be able to do it. I like to
not-
think
it's
that I
not-
could, but
It's not a realistic opportunity.
No.
no, I don't think so either.
I would definitely try, but I know I would fail.
I'd fail.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I wouldn't even
would
waste my
too.
time trying because I know I'd fail.
I talk in my sleep, dude. There's no way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's me too.
This would be a great ass podcast though if we did talk. I
We
bet you
just-
we'd get followers.
Speak
We
for
just-
yourself. That's good.
We just sit there.
Yeah, that would not be great. That would not be great.
That's all it would be.
This is all I would do the whole time.
Yeah, 2 hours of 2 hours of nipple twisters.
Was that the last Ask Reddit question?
Do you want one more? 'Cause
Yeah,
I
that
can-
one failed.
I
That
can
one
pull up another
sucked.
one. Oh, do you want a serious one?
Yeah.
All right. What was your parents' biggest mistake in raising you?
Oh fuck.
Having.
Next.
Nope.
No, we're going with it.
My parents' biggest mistake in raising me. I would say the biggest mistake, and my parents watch this shit too. So,
Yeah,
Not
that's why I
anymore.
say.
you know what?
Oh yeah, not no more.
I think there's
You
a
thought-
lot of
You
things
thought your
that I
dad was
could-
coming.
right. Like and I won't get into any specifics about stuff, but like I think there is a lot of things that like that they would say that they could have done better, that was their worst mistake. And I think there's a lot of things that could be said in general about what their biggest mistake was. But I think my parents' biggest mistake was not trusting me more. Only because I was a very good kid. Like, you know, I was a church boy back then. Like, I was polite to strangers. I didn't get any trouble. Wasn't smoking. I was in high school. I wasn't smoking. Wasn't drinking. Wasn't messing around with drugs. You know, I hung out with one person, like that lived basically right across the street from me.
And his name was Jesus.
No, it was Jim Swim. Jimothy Swim.
Jim Swim.
Jim Swim. And
What a name.
but I mean, like, apart from like, yeah, I mean, I had some bad grades and everything because I kind of struggled in school sometimes because like it was boring to me. Like, I personally felt like I was smarter than what was going on, but like I was a really good kid, and like a lot of the kids around me weren't that good. And I feel like I was like, I mean, like I was 15 years old and had a 9 o'clock curfew, and I had to come back across the street from my friend's house. And it's like, I mean, I'm not getting into trouble. I'm not sneaking out of the house. Like, you should trust me more. Like, so I think that's their biggest mistake is like not realizing how good they had it with a kid like me that was so well behaved. And like I mean, yeah, I was a cocky little asshole to them probably, but in general, like they should have known, like they should have not treated me like I was like a younger child than I was. And they should have realized some of the maturity I already had, and like they should have had taken some solace in the fact that I was so even keeled and level headed, not to get in trouble. When most of my friends were drinking and smoking cigarettes and getting into trouble and partying, I had no interest in any of that. And I think they should have recognized that and realized how lucky they were to have that.
Yeah, that's a good
There's
answer.
a whole bunch of plethora of things they could have that they would probably say was their biggest mistake.
Yep.
That is what I would say was their biggest mistake. And even after I partied and like through college and all that, and like drank so fucking much in college and smoked so much pot, like I'm a great dad. I make good money. I support my family. You know, I'm good to my wife and kids. And I like to think that like I've made it. I'm successful. On my own. Like I feel like I did it on my own. And like I didn't really have that good of influence along that stuff my whole life. Like nobody really taught me how to do this stuff. I had to learn these mistakes myself. And I fucking did it. And like it didn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Graham, how about you?
Good luck following that up. Just kidding.
Oh, I don't know. It's so hard to say because, like, I look back. I think if you would have asked me when I was like 20, 25, I would have given you a completely different answer because I was still angry with them on how things went. My parents are young. Like my mom's only 20 years older than me, so fresh out of high school, having a kid. And they still live the life and everything like that for quite a long time during that time. And I don't know, it was just there's a lot of bad memories, and bad things that I shouldn't have seen or been a part of. And I think, when I look at like raising me, I think if they could have done it differently, I think they would have been a little bit older and more established. I don't know if that would have changed anything though. Like, also now I think it would have been like talk if I asked my mom, I think she would be like, no, hell no. Like you were out of my house before I was 40. Like that's awesome. Like my mom was 37 and I was out of the house. So I don't know. I keep looking. The older I get, like I look at everything that bad that happened turned out to be a really good thing for me because it made me who I am and made me who I'm not, which I think is really good. But they gave me a lot of trust. I was kind of in my teenage years, I helped raise my sister essentially because of everything that was going on in our house. So like I had a lot of trust. They never gave me anything. I had to work for everything. That was kind of a model. Like if you don't earn it, you don't get it. And I can still take it away. So there was a lot of like hard knock for me growing up. And I think maybe they would have been easier on me. Seeing how I turned out now and like, how I bust my ass and I live that lifestyle. But also I think seeing how I treat my children versus how I was treated, I think they would see it now and try to reverse some of that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's a good answer. Jake.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep a lot of details out.
Yeah. No, you did a good job.
Could be here for hours.
Jake, how about you?
I've been trying to think here because like I feel like I had a pretty good childhood. I can relate to you, Matt, on the whole like never really doing anything to get in trouble when you're younger. But I think like my parents were pretty supportive and like they had trust with me and things like that. Like I remember being out and coming home at like 3 in the morning. My mom would still be up, and we just talk about everything and stuff like that. So I've been trying to think. I think one thing, at least with like my dad, that was always a struggle for me, was like doing things with like creative things like music or whatnot. Like they weren't like outright against any of that kind of stuff, but I just remember my dad would always get really annoyed, when I had recorders. Well, they're annoying as shit. I mean, let's be honest. But like there's always like that complaining or like, oh, you can't do this at this time of day. You need to be quiet, it's too loud. And so I think for me that really kind of probably gave me some of that like insecurity about like doing kind of like creative loud things or doing music and things like that. So I guess I look at that and just kind of feel like it would have been nice to have more encouragement and support and things like that. I also struggle with this question because I don't want to come off like as like being whiny about shit either,
Mhm.
because like I feel fortunate. Like I honestly do. I feel fortunate to have the parents that I had.
Yeah, your parents are awesome.
Mama Schultz, but like stuff like that, and then they really had a hard time talking about like awkward things, or just like when you're going through puberty. I got tossed a book, and so it's like one of those like going to the world being a dumbass with stuff like that, you can make mistakes. And so like, that's one thing I wish they would have really, but it's kind of that whole like 1980s like 300 Club Christianity, whereas like we don't talk about any of that stuff. And I feel like that's more of a cultural issue than it is a
Yeah.
parental, so they were just going what they thought was best based off of what they were being told too. So I think my parents were pretty young when they had me too, so
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's
I
a good
don't know.
answer.
It's a good answer, but
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, it is.
it's where I'm at, boys.
Alan?
For me, it's definitely the biggest hindrance to me growing, like, that I didn't figure out really until like the last couple of years was managing my finances and money. Is that I was never really taught that. I was just told you need to manage your money better. Like growing up, like when I got into middle school and high school, my mom just said, don't drink and drive, and don't bring a girl home pregnant. So like I was definitely, like, they trusted me, like they knew I wasn't gonna go out and do something really stupid or anything. Um, but really it was like the money, like I used to just like buy the dumbest things. Like I'd get paid for my first job was working as a lifeguard, and I would
Used
go.
to?
I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
I mean I
I'm just
still
kidding.
do a
Waiting
little
for
bit
that.
of that. But like I used to, like, I'd work as a lifeguard, and when I got my paychecks, I would go to like Best Buy, because that was the cool thing. You went to Best Buy, and then I'd buy like games, or I'd buy like car audio equipment and stuff. I mean, I love this car, but it was a shitty little Ford Escort that I like had.
Yes, go.
I had
I
so much.
remember that.
You remember how much money I had into that sound system? I mean, that was a great sound system, though. I mean, that thing would rattle the bolts out of anything. But
I
like,
remember when that car died.
yep.
I was
you were
in it.
with, yeah, and we had to walk back. But like, yeah, definitely was, for me, it was definitely finances. Like I never learned how to manage my money. I was just told you need to manage your money better, you need to budget, and I was never shown how to do that. Like I knew how to balance a checkbook, and stuff like that, the basic stuff. But like I wasn't taught about credit. I wasn't taught about managing it. Like you need to budget out this for this and that, and like you need to live within your means. And it wasn't really until like the last like couple years that I finally like grasped it in my mind. I was like, oh shit, I can't, like, as much as like Graham likes to give me shit for like always buying like the nice like sound equipment and stuff, is like now like I'm at the point where like I've stopped like buying just dumb little stuff, and
You can
like, I'm like,
responsibly buy the stuff that
yeah,
you. Yeah, I
exactly.
feel that.
Yeah. I mean, so basically, really, that's like biggest mistake. I mean, I think they would probably disagree and say something else because I never really went out and partied or anything when I was a kid. Like I was like you, Matt. I was definitely I was a good Christian boy, and I did I worked at Bible camp. I went to I helped with the youth group, all that kind of stuff, and so like
Went
I
to
never.
Christian college, lived the Christian dream, dude.
Yeah, man. I mean, look where that got
My
me.
my first drink, I was 12. My first sexual encounter, I was 12.
Who I was,
Yeah,
my first
I
sexual
did
encounter, I
I
was
did not
13.
live the Christian life, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
definitely-
like I was the Christian kid, but I mean, like I wasn't like too bad. I mean, I was messing around with girls, I guess, but not in the capacity enough to get them pregnant.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my answer to that is just like really it was just financial stuff is like that's why like I'm gonna go off on a tangent here. But like,
Tangent.
I definitely
Did you guys have
think
an alert that you flash up?
we should. I'm gonna put
Tangent
that in.
alert.
Popcorn break.
Popcorn break. Yeah, with the polka. But like it is seriously like in school, in high school, it should be a requirement that juniors and like you have to go through 2 years of financial management and understanding in high school before you graduate and get your diploma. Because I think it's just so important. So like you understand what the hell credit is. You understand what budgeting is.
What
you
a
know,
student loan is.
what a student loan is, and like that you go and look at like, oh hey, guess what? Oh look, I can get a $10,000 student loan, but yeah, guess what? You're gonna have to pay like 40% APR on that bitch.
Mhm.
Like no, they need to make that. That should be like every American, as long as we're still gonna have to pay for college, because free college is what it should be, even though it's not now. Eventually, it will be. I mean, that's my left-leaning libertarian coming out there. But you know what I mean, Matt. You agree with me? Like, I think
No, I do.
this is another tangent going off of this tangent, but like education.
Did you just say no?
No,
You
I do.
You should
No,
have dogged him and said like, "Nah, you're dumb,"
But like,
No, I definitely feel him.
like
just to get him off.
I mean, just to make it clear, I think that student loan forgiveness is definitely something that should happen. That I'm not one of those like, oh well, I was able to pay for my college, blah blah blah. Like, so it shouldn't be hard for them. No, fuck that. I don't want like future generations of students to have to like pay, end up paying off like 3 times as much as what they took the loan out for. That's bullshit. They shouldn't have to pay for that. So yeah, let's forgive all the student loans. Like, and let's make.
He's only saying this because he's in collections and he needs his credit to be rebuilt. I'm just kidding.
But it needs to be free. I think future generations should not ever have to pay for college because they are the future of our race of humans. If we're ever gonna like get out and like colonize Mars and shit, we're gonna need engineers, we're gonna need mathematicians, we're gonna need artists, we're gonna need musicians, we're gonna need teachers, we're gonna need all this stuff along with our blue collar jobs. It's just mind boggling to me. But yeah, so like back to that, but that definitely finances definitely need to be something that every student needs to learn before they graduate. Just like they got rid of home ec. That's another thing too. That's another thing.
I loved home ec.
That's the thing that pisses me off. Like a lot of schools don't have home ec anymore. So like for example, I work with like this 19-year-old kid at my part-time job, and he doesn't know how to cook. He doesn't really know how to wash his clothes because his
My
mom
wife don't know how to cook.
His mom does it all for him, and I'm like, so like when I go into work at 4:00, I'm like, I'm rushing to have to like figure out, oh hey, what am I gonna feed my clients there, and so like I throw something together, and it used to be that during the COVID days that I had all this prep time, so I was making them. They were eating like kings, like seriously, like it was some great stuff that I was making, but like this kid doesn't know how to do any of that. Like he can throw a pizza in the oven, but then the crust still comes out doughy and shit. And I'm like, come on, man. Like you got to learn how to do that. So
I think Alan's whiskey kicked in.
It definitely did.
Whiskey.
All right, well,
So,
this is
anyways,
this is another one of those times where I feel like we could go for another 2 hours.
totally.
But that just means we have to have Jake back on again. Jake, can you tell the people where they can find you?
Yeah.
Well,
Maybe.
I gotta remember what so I'm on YouTube. So the problem is I'm using an account that I had for like years, and I didn't realize it locked your like old username to your link. So my old username is Big Guy Jake, but it's RubberDuckyofDeath. If you just look up RubberDuckyofDeath on YouTube, I'm like the only one on there. You also see some like weird claymation videos that I totally didn't steal the name off of when I was in high school. But yeah, so I'm on YouTube there, and I'm on Twitch, but I don't do streaming right now. I'm probably going to join Alan and Matt on that someday when Starlink gets a little bit more stable. But yeah, I don't know. Is that what you needed? Sorry, that was a dumb answer,
perfect.
but
no, it's perfect. It was the best
on the internet.
It was the best plug I've ever heard. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So definitely go check out Jake's videos.
Yeah.
I mean, they're fucking hilarious, dude.
They are.
If you
Like
want to
this
hear
one right here.
My favorite so far has been like
all
the compilation of screams we did on Sign of Silence.
You should add that one. That'd be pretty funny.
I mean, literally, like you want to hear a bunch of grown men scream in terror. Jake's got you hooked up.
Well, we'll put a link in the description for that one.
Yeah, exactly. So as always, you can find us here on YouTube. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah.
Although the Apple Podcast one is just a little bit, it's kind of behind right now on the uploads, whatever that is. But we are on there now. So
yep.
That's right. Everybody else is too. So
nice.
Yep.
I get it.
So yeah. Feel free to stop by, hang out. Make sure you give Jake a subscription. Jake, you have something planned for 100 followers or 100 subs on YouTube?
Well, I am gonna be starting up a Discord because that's the thing you do nowadays when you're a content creator, not a YouTuber, you know. And changing my freaking link for one. I'll have a big party for that. And then I'm also looking at doing some merch too. I've had some people ask me. I was like one of those things where like you didn't want to be. I don't know. I kind of felt douchey being like, I'm gonna open a store. I have 5 people subscribed to me right now, so I don't know. I just kind of felt weird. So I might wait till I hit 100 for that, but I don't know. I've got kind of quite a bit of pressure actually for people that want to buy my stupid logo. I guess I don't know, but it's not stupid. My cousin worked really hard on it. It's awesome, but.
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah, so definitely go give Jake a follow. Hit the bell, help him out, comment. That goes a long way.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any final thoughts, boys?
Oh, I've been wanting to say this for a while.
Uh-oh.
One thing I learned about Alan with video editing, he's like the only human being that I know that enjoys cutting film footage from like 3 or 4 hour long videos. I do not get it.
I love it.
Nope, not into it. That would suck.
You can cut
I'll leave
that if you want.
I mean,
I'll leave that to the pros.
I could literally sit there for hours, man. I used to sit and watch all the, the extended version of Lord of the Rings and like watch all the appendices, so like all the behind the scenes stuff. Like, and I enjoyed that almost more than the movies. So
I did like listening, like when we would record the podcast back in the day. I did enjoy listening and editing to that. That was a lot of fun, and I'd get so excited to do it. I'd have it done like by the end of the night. So I get that. Well, that being said, thanks for tuning in Instagram Matt Podcast. We'll catch you next time. I'm Matt.
I'm Graham.
that's Jake.
I'm Jake. You're pointing the other way.
Yeah.
I'm pointing to you on mine. And I'm Alan.
Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.
Later.
Peace.